Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Satsang. And welcome to those rejoining us and those that are joining for the first time especially. Good to have you with us. So I wanted to shift focus a little bit, and over this next 3 satsangs, I wanted to take a look, perhaps a deeper look at what the core aspect is of this teaching. There are really 3 aspects of this teaching that if you sort of get a grasp, a hold of, and understanding experientially how to practice, that really you will have a foundation for waking up completely and overcoming any challenge that you may have as part of your awakening and ongoing deepening. And those 3 aspects really are, well, there are descriptions of each one, and I will look at each one in turn. I was going to look at meditation today, what meditation is in its truest form, in its most direct form. And then we'll look at, on Thursday, in Thursday Satsang, we'll take a look at self-inquiry. And then a week today, we'll look at contemplation. And the 3 of them together are not really different. They are really 3 ways of looking at the same thing, but they are useful in different situations. So, people are always asking, what should I be doing to wake up? What did I actually do that made the difference in my awakening? And it was these 3 things. And there is a point, as I just said, where they all meet, they all come together. But it really hopefully serves us to take a look at each one individually. So we'll start with meditation today. I'll go through my own meditation that I'm teaching in this teaching, and very direct meditation. And there are as many forms of meditation as there are seekers, and everyone is suitable for different people and different pathways, and that's fine. But the one I'm going to talk about is what I did directly to wake up, and I found it to be the most intense, the most powerful, the most condensed form of any practice that anyone can do that I've worked with. So it's not to say it's the only meditation, of course, but it is the one that worked for me. And it's the one that I've described in a Dissolving Ego book as well. It's totally in line with those practices. So meditation is really just a focus on what is real. Meditation, in its most direct, most comprehensive form, is a simple practice of putting attention on what is real. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and then we'll do a little guided meditation as part of this satsang to kind of illustrate that, just how simple and powerful it can be in actual practice. And with any meditation at all, the key is consistency. So if you had Monday off and you sat for 10 hours, with breaks obviously, and meditated, and then didn't do anything else for the rest of the week, you're going to get less benefit out of that than somebody that can only sit for 20 minutes a day in meditation. The consistency every 20 minutes every day, is going to build up and really start to accumulate something powerful. And meditation should accumulate, the effects of meditation in your own life, your own awakening. So what is meditation? I've said it's already said it's a focus on what is real, but how do we actually do that? What do we actually do in practice? And the most direct way that I've found is to simply bring attention to that which is in the background of our experience. So right now, as you're sitting, there is, as you're listening to this, there is what's going on in your experience. There is what your body's feeling, thinking, any sensations in the body. There's the noises in our surroundings. I can hear the rain falling on the window, from the window ledge. I can hear various noises in the room I'm sitting in. And then there is the kind of the background of experience, which I found it really challenging to focus on what I was in terms of meditation and focus on the witness. But I did find ways to focus on what is the background, because it's the same thing. So it's the space in the background, the space that the room is appearing in, or if we're listening to if we hear the rain on the window, the silence which is there, which allows the rain to be heard. So anything that's happening in your experience, we can use that to contrast. So if something's changing in your experience or moving like your thoughts, you can use that to contrast, to show you that part of you that isn't moving and changing. So meditation is simply to bring attention, to notice that which is constantly here, but we don't always give it very much of our attention at all, because it doesn't seem to be very exciting when we first start out with our practice. And our thoughts, our changing mind and emotions and experience from moment to moment have seemingly so much more hypnotic allure to them than that which is stable and constant in the background. So meditation is just a simple thing of bringing attention to what is happening in the background of experience. If you notice that attention always goes to what's happening in the foreground, what's moving, what's changing, and by default, that's our habit. So meditation, a simple practice in its most direct form, is to build a new habit to bring attention to what is not changing, what is stable and constant, what is always present. So the real self, we know, even intellectually, we know it's infinite, it's everywhere all the time. That means it must be here in our experience in this moment. It cannot ever be absent, therefore. Our meditation, we can't fail to find it. Even if we're simply just aware of the spaciousness, the empty space in which this room, in which my body, in which these words are appearing in, that's a form of meditation in its most direct way. So it's also helpful to know what this meditation isn't, because that will hopefully help to clarify. If my attention is on the experience that I'm having in this moment, my attention goes to what's present in this room, what my words are that are coming out, what's something that's going on in my body, then I'm going to feel like I am separate to what I am experiencing. My attention will be coming from one place only. It'll be focused on one place only, and I will feel separate to everything else. And when we focus like this, and we focus on our experience, most of us are constantly focused on our thoughts, and then we have to experience those thoughts as true. This meditation also, we're not trying to change our experience. If some emotion were to arise inside me as I'm meditating, or some loud noise in my environment, then most of us have this habit of wanting to try to change our experience in meditation. But what I'm talking about here is even more simple than that. That whatever arises in my experience, I'm going to just gently guide attention to look at the background of that experience. So I'm not going to try to change anything that's going on in my experience whilst I'm meditating. Why is that? Because if I'm trying to change my experience and I'm coming from my egoic perspective, I'm coming to my meditation as a separate being who's interacting with the experience, instead of a much more direct looking at that formless space, the silence, the awareness, the stillness in which thoughts and sounds and experiences and emotions are all moving and arising. So if I'm trying to change my experience, then I'm going to be the doer. I'm going to be trying to get somewhere in my meditation, instead of just paying attention to that which is constant, that which is always in the background and isn't trying to get anywhere. And from that place, my meditation will become increasingly effortless, increasingly simple. And my only task, so to speak, is to notice when my attention has gone back to something happening inside my experience. So if I'm paying attention right now to the formless space in which this room is appearing, can't see it, can't grasp it, can't see it with my eyes at least, but I'm aware of it. There's awareness of that space in which all this is appearing. Or you could say, I can hear the silence in which these words are resonating. I can recognize a sense of stillness in which thoughts are moving and phenomena are changing. So it's a very simple practice. I can either have my attention on anything that's moving and changing, like my cat, or I can have my attention on the space in which all of that is appearing. And we cannot do both at the same time. I am either focusing on phenomena, objects, things that are changing in this moment, or I'm focused on the formless space in which all of this is arising. And I focus on the formless space, the silence, the stillness, the background of my experience, that which is constant. Everything happening inside that is just going to unfold. If my attention is on the background of my experience, my body still can talk, it's still breathing, I can still interact like this. It's not necessary to have attention on your someoneness for that someoneness to work. It's just a sense of being someone. All this can just unfold effortlessly and spontaneously while your attention is on what is constant in your experience. So perhaps meditation can be a lot more simple than we've come to understand. Perhaps it can be a lot more easier than we've thought. Maybe it doesn't have a goal at all. If there is a goal, it really is only to build this habit. It's just a habit that we have to always look at thoughts first and emotions first and things that are changing in our experience first. And you can simply form a new habit by a little practice each day of putting attention on what is unchanging in your experience. So the space in which your experience is happening, the space in which your body is appearing, the silence in which all sounds are heard. These are all ways of describing the same thing. That which is just present and being about you, that which isn't changing, the being part of your human being, the knowingness that is constant in every moment. Everything that you know, the sounds that you're hearing, your thoughts, your experience, how your body feels, how hot or cold it is in the room you're in, you automatically know there's a knowingness about you. And that's constant and unchanging, that knowingness. What it knows is always changing, but the knowingness itself is unchanging. So what if meditation became this beautifully simple thing of simply placing attention on that which is stable and that which is not an object? The silence, stillness, the formless awareness is the pure sentience itself. It's the intelligence that animates the body and all of this that makes this all appear to be. And so putting your attention on that is going to allow you to begin to experience a stopping, a resting, a real slowing down of the mind, not by something you're forcing your mind to do, just by simple placing attention on that which isn't moving and changing. And it's completely possible to do this, to build this into a habit that eventually becomes spontaneous and effortless. That's the truest form of meditation. And really what any awakened being has done is just to cultivate this habit until it just becomes something that's happening effortlessly, continuously, so that they can no longer only focus on phenomena and automatically focus on phenomena happening in the experience. The default setting, if you will, the habit is to be automatically focused on the spaciousness that all this is arising in, the beingness, the consciousness, the presence in which all experience is arising and falling away. So what's the purpose of placing attention on what's real? It's because from that place, anything that we want to change in our experience is going to change by itself anyway. If I simply rest my attention on what's real, then my mind and body are going to become increasingly saturated with the light of the truth, the power of the real self, and anything that needs to right itself in my world is going to right itself. The more consistently I focus on what's real, the more these things are going to begin to sort themselves out anyway. Where my life is tangled up and not working properly will be where I'm really focused on phenomena, where I'm really focused on an emotion or thoughts, and I'm trying to change that. If I am resting attention on that which is constant and in the background of my experience, then my experience is going to flow much more effortlessly in the way that really begins to surprise and delight me. If instead I'm focused on the experience and trying to change it, then I'm coming from my egoic sense of self, which isn't wrong at all. But for most of us in Satsang, it's begun to feel too small, too constrictive, too limiting. And it's going to really begin to not work to try to change my experience anyway. It's going to have the opposite effect. The more I realize what I am is unlimited and formless and everywhere, the more I'm coming from a perspective of my egoic self trying to change my experience, the less it's going to be in line with what I've realized myself to be. So can you simply rest attention on that which is real and allow your experience to right itself? Yes, you absolutely can. And that's the fundamental habit that we're building in the meditation that I'm talking about here. I rest my attention on that which is real, the formless awareness in which this room, my body, these words are appearing. And I simply notice when attention's gone back to something moving and changing inside that awareness. So a thought, attention drifts to thought, or a sound, or some distraction. When I notice that, I can simply come back to looking at the awareness itself. And there isn't any end point to this meditation. There is just at some point where it becomes automatic and effortless. Can you imagine right now how it feels, what it would be like to live from that, when that habit has become automatic, when you can no longer pay attention to thoughts only, when your default setting is to be looking at the awareness in which thoughts are arising, and then it's a choice if you want to pay attention to thoughts. How different is that to our daily experience where for most of us, and as it was for me at first, there wasn't any choice but to pay attention to thoughts. But as soon as mind spoke, attention went straight to it. There wasn't any choice. Now, for me, there isn't really any choice to, it's not possible to pay attention. I have to make a lot of effort to really pay attention to one thought. It takes a lot of energy to do that right now. And it really is going against the habit that's built, which is just to be constantly and effortlessly aware of the silent space in which all of this is happening. That silent space is pure sentience, pure intelligence. What you really are is the silent, invisible background to all this. So can you just bring your attention to that which is in the background? And do you have to try to change what's in the foreground? Or is that just a habit of perceiving yourself to be someone experiencing something? And do you still feel that need to change your experience if your attention is on the formless background, that which is constantly stable and underpinning all experience? And maybe that is the most effective way to have your experience change the way you want it to. Maybe that is the most effective way to have your world look the way you want it to, because no longer will you be doing something to try to solve it. No longer will you be coming from a limited perspective. So meditation in its truest form is simply paying attention to what is, or to what is real, and most importantly to what is permanent and unchanging in our experience. Very simple thing, just to pay attention to that whichever way in you can find, whether it's through silence, stillness, presence, consciousness, awareness, the knowingness, being, just any way in particular, the contextual field, all of them are just names for the same thing, for the self. So when you hear these phrases in the scriptures, meditate on the self, this is what it means. This is what it means to pay attention to that which is constantly here and yet constantly overlooked by our egoic sense of self. Just this one thing, if you build this habit, it will revolutionize your entire experience of life. Your experience will become more effortless. Things will start to come that you need. Emotions will start to be dissipating, and everything that seemingly needs to be fixed will begin to fix itself. Any problem that's arising, you'll watch that arise, and there'll be a solution to that problem arise as your attention's resting on that which is stable and real. And the major benefit, of course, is that when the body disappears out of the formless space, when the body's gone and there's no more thoughts or phenomena to watch, it won't seem to matter. You won't even probably notice, because attention is just on this formless space that you are. And even while the body is still here, you can enjoy it. You can move around in the world. You can have that experience too. It's not one or the other. You're not being asked to give up your egoic perspective. Your sense of doing and being someone will still be there and available. It just won't be your default setting anymore. It won't be your automatic choice. The automatic choice will be perceiving that space, that formlessness in which the egoic sense of someoneness is arising and playing. And when it's not your default setting, your egoic sense of self, it will not be a problem at all for you. It will just be another phenomena arising inside the real you, and it won't trouble you at all. In fact, it'll become extraordinarily useful. Your someoneness is necessary while the body is here, but it's just a sense of someone. So I hope you're getting a taste of how simple meditation can be. And I thought just for 10 minutes we could with our eyes open or closed, we'll just go into a little bit of practice just to show how easy it is, and how simple, and how it feels as well. It will feel nice for your body and mind too. So if you want to join in, you're very welcome. Just with your eyes open or closed, however you're sitting is fine. Just probably best not to lay down unless you have some back problems or something, because we do tend to nod off and fall asleep when the body relaxes. So just as you're sitting, eyes open or closed, absolutely fine. And just to notice the space in which all this is appearing, or the awareness, your awareness that's constant in the background. We're always aware. Right now you're aware of these words, You're aware of the sounds in your environment. You're aware of the space in the room that you're sitting in. You're aware of how your body feels. All that is just happening effortlessly, and the awareness is present. So it's just a simple shift of focus to become aware of the awareness, to notice that there is awareness present, rather than to pay attention to what we're aware of. Just noticing that awareness. And even if you get distracted by a thought, awareness goes to listen to thoughts again. The moment you recognize that awareness drifted to thoughts, you're immediately watching awareness again. You're watching where awareness went. It went to the thoughts. And now it's back to look at itself. And we can start with a simple question: am I aware right now? And that question will bring you to recognition. There is awareness present. And just a simple placing attention on that awareness, noticing that you're aware. Either with your eyes closed, you can just recognize you can't see anything. You're aware that you can't see with your eyes when they're closed. Very simple. Or with your eyes open, what your eyes are seeing are reporting back to your awareness. What your ears are hearing is being reported back to awareness. And from time to time, awareness will drift to a phenomena, to listen to thoughts. It will watch thoughts, or it will listen to some sound, or it will pay attention to a phenomena arising, a sensation in your body. And as soon as you recognize your attention's drifted, you can just bring it back to that awareness. Any phenomena that arises can be used in your meditation. I can hear my clock ticking, and I can only hear my clock ticking because there's awareness to hear it. I can hear the rain on the window, and that's coming into my awareness, reporting into my awareness. Just to ask the question, what is my awareness watching right now? It will bring you immediately back to being aware of this awareness. So, meditation, nothing is going wrong when your attention drifts. It can even become part of your meditation. We're aware of our awareness, and then awareness gets lost for 30 seconds or a minute, listening, watching thoughts, completely absorbed in thoughts. And then at some point, we recognize that awareness is watching thoughts. It really doesn't matter. As soon as we recognize, we're aware of what our awareness is doing, what it's focusing on. When we noticed it's focused on a phenomena, we bring it back to look at itself. Am I aware right now? Very, very simple. We're not trying to change anything in meditation. Just enough to recognize when you're aware of phenomena, thoughts, objects, things, and to bring awareness back to itself. We're not trying to figure anything out. We're not trying to reach a goal in this meditation. Right now, you're aware. That is the meditation, to notice you're aware. We're just meditating on the awareness which is always present. Sometimes it's watching itself, and sometimes it watches phenomena. Just a very simple practice. Naturally, as awareness watches itself, it will just feel like my awareness. Won't feel special or anything at first. Just I'm aware, my ordinary, everyday awareness. And that's enough just to recognize there's always awareness. Sometimes it's watching thoughts. Sometimes it's watching the body sleep. Sometimes it's watching the waking state, everything that's going on in it. During our meditation, we're just noticing awareness. And it's natural that awareness will drift to look at thoughts, to look at feelings, to look at deep states that arise, peace or something, or an emotion that arises. You just simply bring it back when you notice it's drifted. Bring it back to looking at itself. Am I aware right now? So we're not trying to change anything. And there is no end point for this meditation. No goal, no finish line. Just enjoying how it feels to be aware of awareness. And nothing is going wrong when attention drifts to thoughts or to sound. It's natural at first that awareness will drift to look at phenomena. The awareness itself is not a phenomenon. It's not moving or changing. It's just very simply, am I aware right now? And then to notice when you can, when attention wanders to a thought or an emotion or a sound. And just very simply bringing it back to look at the awareness itself, to notice the awareness. Just a simple noticing that you're aware. That is the simplest and purest and highest form of meditation. Enjoying how the body feels, the mind feels when awareness comes to rest upon itself. There's a natural slowing down of the body and the mind. But that's not why we're doing it. We're just recognizing what is real, what is always here, the awareness itself. So our meditation becomes a very simple thing, a very easy thing, to notice the awareness and then to notice when awareness wanders and to bring it back. And over time, with consistency, becomes more and more obvious that that awareness is you. Awareness is silent, intelligent, vast, unending, unlimited, ever present, indestructible, not suffering. All this just is revealed effortlessly, simply from watching awareness. If some emotion arises or some thoughts arise, and attention is drawn to them for a long time, it doesn't matter. Just as soon as you do recognize that you're watching thoughts again, that you're listening to emotions, just to bring it back. Just as soon as you do recognize, no big deal, nothing going wrong. And just gradually, more and more, this will just become effortless. Attention will just stay on the awareness more and more without you doing anything. And at some point, you'll forget how to focus on phenomena only. You'll forget how to always pay attention to thoughts. You'll somehow lose that ability. Okay, so if you have your eyes closed, you may want to just open them for a moment as we bring this meditation, this formal meditation, to a close. And it's just important to recognize that meditation, it starts off as something we're doing, perhaps something we give some time to each day, but it will increasingly become something that you're just being. You will be that meditation itself rather than something you're doing. So more and more throughout the day, you'll just find automatically attention goes to the awareness rather than what awareness is actually, rather than any phenomena arising in that awareness. Your mind and body can effortlessly function without your attention on them at all, amazingly. In fact, they'll probably function much better when your awareness is watching itself. I know that may seem a strange thing to understand at first, but try it out when you're not driving and when you're not working and things like that at first. So meditation is something we start off by doing, but it becomes just a being, a constant, effortless beingness. And somehow you'll simply forget how to pay attention to only to what's arising inside awareness. So I hope you had a taste of how simple and direct and powerful meditation can be. And it's called meditation here, but it's really just being yourself, noticing the awareness, the silence, the stillness. During that meditation, I was calling it awareness, but we can call it anything: stillness, silence, presence, beingness, consciousness, the knowingness, the sense of now, sense of here. All of those are constantly present, and they're all the same thing. Your only job really is to find which one resonates with you, and then pay attention to it more than you pay attention to the phenomena, that which is moving and changing. Everything else in your awakening will happen for you, by you, just effortlessly begin to resolve itself. So if you'd like to ask a question or to share your experience during that meditation, I'd love to hear from you. If you want to ask a question, you can click on participants at the bottom of the screen, and the bottom of that participants section there is option to raise your hand to ask a question about anything really to do with awakening. While we're waiting for those questions, I will talk on Thursday about self-inquiry, which is kind of the same as meditation, but it does tend to be even more direct sometimes, and a very, very powerful way to recognize what you really are. So okay, if anyone would like to ask a question, maybe we're all in a nice deep state after meditation. Okay, Sophie. Whenever you're ready, Sophie.
Yeah, good morning.
Hiya. Good morning, sorry.
Sorry. So the last couple of days, something very difficult has arisen in my life experience around my, a particular issue in my family that's been going on, and the outcome for me for this life was very disappointing. There was this kind of having to sort of let go of a certain structure that I was holding on to, certain desire or whatever, and really realizing that was a teaching to go deeper into the truth of who I am beyond those wants and needs on that level as a separate self, wanting something or wanting some kind. But the energy around it and the thinking around it has been very, very concentrated for a really long time. But this morning I woke up really early because there's been a lot of suffering around it, and I went into meditation. But so bringing it to what you're bringing today, there was this, like, I can't describe it anything more than like a very strong vibration of staying with an aligned feeling of um, of presence of who I am, without going into, the thoughts then stopped, the feelings then stopped. There was a sense of awareness of the contraction around that, trying to kind of come back in or work itself out somehow, and bringing that presence to that sort of. But it took somehow not an effort, but an increased focus of attention. Like suddenly I went, oh, I'm just going to really just focus all my attention on that. And it I don't know if that's an effort, but it took a kind of concentration of energy, and it kind of felt truer, obviously, than being kind of always addicted to the issue and everything. And so your explanation just now was again the same, but a bit more sort of spacious than that too, because it was aware of the kind of the background. So whereas this one felt very just sort of focused in the body as a kind of aligned feeling. I can't describe it any better really, but I just I don't think that's any different to what you were just indicating, or is it? I'm not sure. Do you know what I mean?
Only you know for absolutely certain, but it's really there's no middle ground really. Either our attention is on that which is not changing in our experience, or it's on that which is changing in our experience. And we all have those places, our karmic patterns where for so long attention's just been automatically drawn to these thoughts, these emotions around something or some being in our experience. Whenever that arises, attention's just automatically gone there. That's what these karmic patterns are, where we don't seem to have a choice at that time whether to pay attention to the awareness or the thoughts. It's straight to the thoughts and the charge that's happening around something, whether it's a desire, as you were saying, or some sense of needing something, or some particular being or event that happens. Attention just gets drawn there automatically, doesn't it? And in those situations, it will seem like an effort to keep attention resting on that which is real, and it may even seem impossible at first, which is why we're going to look at contemplation as a way to work with those particular situations. We'll look at that a week today, but if you notice what happens during those moments, and notice where attention goes, it's enough to recognize, am I watching something that's changing here, or am I watching the unchanging? So there might be a real sort of charge going on in the body, lots of things happening, real build-up of emotional experience and all of that, but attention can still be on that space in which it's happening, that formlessness, that awareness that's watching this. You can allow the charge of the emotion, we're not repressing it at all, but at the same time we can be watching that which isn't changing. Sometimes takes a little practice when something big comes up like that. Can you get a sense of it?
Yeah. But I was not sure whether I was focusing on something that was changing in a sense, because it felt like a kind of, but ultimately it feels like a sort of power, an inner power. I know that sounds a bit
there's the clarity and the power that comes with watching what is real. You'll begin to notice that some sense of something building, accumulating inside the body, which is really just the clarity and the knowingness and the seeing and the power that comes with being yourself. It begins to build up. And even that sense of power or clarity, it's good, but it's still not quite the same as watching the awareness itself, because sometimes you might feel very empowered, sometimes you might feel less empowered. So there's still changing, there's still a phenomena, very subtle phenomena that's changing, but there's still awareness of even that, isn't there? Awareness of that sort of sense of building. It's the natural effect on the body and mind of watching what is real, of paying attention to, this kind of very simple meditation, is that the body and mind will start to feel much more alive, much more clear, much more present, much more happy, all of that, which are quite seductive things to look at, a sense of peace building and all of that. But still, if you maintain attention on what is not changing at all, that which is invisible and intangible about you, then these things will just build up anyway. The peace and the love and the sense of joy will begin to come back into your experience.
Great, thank you very much.
Very good question. Thank you. Lovely. Okay, Frank.
There we go. Sorry. My name is Frank. How you doing, Helen?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm glad I tuned in this morning. My name is Frank. I'm in Belfast here in Ireland, and you just took me away there. I was sort of captured by every word that you said. But there's also a deep sort of sense of wonder and a curiosity within me. And I don't know where I get caught up in words, but when it comes to mindfulness, which is very sexy at the moment, very popular, right?
Yeah, fashionable.
What's that?
Very fashionable at the moment, isn't it?
Very fashionable, right? So when it comes to, say, mindfulness, right, and awareness, so it's about that awareness. Is there a difference between awareness in a definition, right, compared to mindfulness, or vice versa?
I would say that that we've been describing this morning, again, this is just from my own experience of what worked for me, because that's my truth. But mindfulness did bring some clarity. It did really help. However, the only thing I ever found that really did take me beyond all suffering was this very direct practice, because even if I'm being aware, mindfully aware, my attention is still on what I'm experiencing, rather than that which is watching the experience. So I found mindfulness, and again, people may have different definitions of what they mean by mindfulness, but for a while I was practicing, before I got into this very direct way, if I was cooking a meal, I was just totally present, watching my hands chop the vegetables and that type of thing, and that did really, really help. But in the end, it was still, I found it was still watching the experience rather than watching the space in which the experience was happening. And again, it's horses for courses, so to speak. Not everyone is ready for such a direct practice as we've done today. But I think when you are ready, it kind of resonates that it's in the end, we're either watching a phenomena or we're watching that space in which the phenomena are arising. Our real being is not changing at all. So there is a difference as far as what I'm teaching and what we've spoken about today between the two. And it's really just a question of how direct you want your practice, basically. How every road leads to the same place. It's just how twisty and turny and how quick you're going to get to that goal. For myself, I just kind of fell in love with how it felt to be in such a simple things always work for me, and I always love simplicity. It's the only thing that's ever really got me out of suffering, if I'm honest. So I don't know if that helps you to distinguish between the two.
It does. But tell me, please, what is your practice?
Just exactly as we've done today. It's just constantly going on now, effortlessly.
And does it have a name?
Say that again, sorry?
Does it have a name?
Well, there are practices, very similar practices I've described, exactly the same practices in the Dissolving Ego book. But like this one was just called Being Aware of Awareness. There's other ones, Listening to the Silence, Resting in the Stillness. They're all names for the same thing, really. That which doesn't have a name.
And then finally, I don't want to hog on here, but
no, these are good questions, very good questions.
Thank you. So would the source of your practice, would it be Zen?
I don't really like to pin it down, to be honest, to a name. I don't really think names are all that important. But I guess it's a very direct path, what I'm teaching, and it's always based on my own experience. That's about as much as I'd like to pin it down, really.
And who taught you?
It's a kind of mishmash of every single spiritual practice and religion I ever studied, which was a lot. And I kind of cobbled together every little bits that resonated with myself from everything that I studied. I just tried to study every single, from Zen, like you said, to everything every possible thing I could get my hands on. I was just like a sponge for about 17 years, and it culminated in what I'm actually teaching. That's what the directness of it that really brought me out of suffering once and for all. I mean, all the contemporary teachers, of course, that are around about today. I've listened to thousands of hours of those, and I can't really say there was any one teacher in particular. That it was more of hearing the same truth through, every source I was looking. That same message was coming in different ways from different people.
Personally speaking, I'm a Zen student, and I've been a Zen student here in Belfast for about the last sort of 30 years or so. I've got a great Zen teacher, up at the San Francisco Zen Center, and together we opened the center in Belfast. But I love what you say, and that is especially coming from Belfast, where we have like orange, green, Catholic, Protestant, as you can understand. The reason why I sort of introduced Zen in Belfast was, to look for like a middle way or another way. Yep. It has been very successful, but I still think it defeats the purpose, and the purpose was, neither this nor that. Mm-hmm. Because as you say, in order to keep it simple, so if we bring about a definition, then people are looking for that definition.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like something else to
if you say as well, the moment, if I was to say, I'm teaching this way or that way, people build an idea about it in their mind, and it really just detracts from the simplicity of the practice, really, which is to, really what we're all doing this for is to come out of suffering once and for all, isn't it? And to not be stuck on ideas about particular things, and that's what I try to encompass is the simplicity and the directness of it. It shouldn't be hard to do if it's what we already are, and it's always here. We can't really fail to recognize it once we sort of know how to recognize what's always here. Just a very simple thing then to do that.
And do you see what we've done today? Is that on a recording? Have you recorded this session?
Yes, it'll be on YouTube afterwards. There's loads of other ones as well on my YouTube channel. Loads of similar things, you can sort of dive in there and explore them.
I'll do that.
Fantastic. Lovely to meet you.
And you too.
Okay, Megan.
Hi, Helen.
Hiya, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. I just wanted to say I really enjoyed that experience, the meditation, and coming out of it, I felt more me, like really me, and allowing my attention to go to that full aspect, the infinite presence or the awareness. I really love that nature and that ability to go there. So thank you. I just am sitting in a curiosity about two distinctions. Because I also, coming out of that, felt quite spacey and dispersed, and my nature is to be dispersed. That's kind of how I flow, and it's not always healthy. Like it's so so I'm in the process of exploring what it's like to, with breath work, to actually bring my energy to center.
Yes.
So I'm doing another, like a breath exploration and bringing everything to center, which is quite different for me. And when my energy becomes aligned and centered, I'm actually really connected to the cosmos as well. Like, so they're very different organizations connecting me. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on what's more healthy or what's, you're probably going to say neither one's wrong. I don't know what you're going to say. Can you speak to that in some way?
Yeah, it's just like you said, whatever feels the best for you, whatever feels right for you, of course, is right for you. I do understand completely what you were saying about, if I understood you, when I started meditation, first of all, years ago, I very much used it as a way to avoid life. I was always looking to escape life, and I was cautious when I started a meditation practice that was so direct, because I was worried that I was going to start to hide again, to avoid life again. But I actually found it had the opposite effect when I really dived into it. It made me very aware of the present moment and everything that was going on inside this moment, So there can be, and the beautiful thing about what we've done this morning, today in this satsang, is it doesn't contradict with any other experience, any other meditation, any other practice, and it doesn't have to be done exclusively. There's plenty of people that do it, and they do another practice as well, afterwards or before. So you can combine both, not at the same time. That's what I would say. One or the other. Rather than trying to, but one and the other is what I'm trying to say. Is totally fine. It's they're not going to contradict each other, and whatever helps you to feel. There are some beings where their biggest challenge is that they're a little too grounded, and they kind of have a little challenge trying to explore the higher possibilities of experience. And then there are other beings like myself, and I think like you're describing, who are very much already into those places and have trouble staying on planet Earth sometimes. So perhaps both a combination, both of those would be good. Whatever helps you feel centered is going to naturally lead to an awareness of what is constantly present, because we're much more present in the moment anyway doing that. So you might find that you benefit from doing both, or you might feel like one day you want to do this one, next day you want to do the other one, third day you don't feel like doing any of it. Does that help?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Good question. Thanks. Okay, Dave.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Long time no see. It's good to see some familiar faces and some new ones. And I just wanted to thank you for the help that you've given me over the past year or so. And I love what you said. I love what you said about abiding in the moment and abiding in the now and all that stuff, because I certainly have been through the washing machine, potentially emotionally, over the last 6 months. My son's tried to take his life on a few occasions, and I've had a few upheavals at home, but I'm okay, you know. I'm okay because of what you taught me. And I did want to say, not just as a plug, but to anyone who hasn't done the Dissolving the Ego course, I'm not sure whether you're doing it or anything like that, but I would thoroughly recommend the book Dissolving the Ego, at least, and and all your material. And I've brought a few friends along today because I have spoken about you on a few occasions, and you've certainly helped me with my sobriety. That's for sure, and you've deepened my level of sobriety. I was sober 18 years this last week, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to come here. Yeah, no, it's good because, but I've had to deepen. You know, I found that over the last year I've had to deepen my spiritual, whatever it is, like you say. I don't know.
Well, as you said, it's brought unique challenges this year, hasn't it, that you haven't faced before. Yeah.
Through self-inquiry, definitely. You know, but I'm okay. You know, and that's the amazing thing is this. I can't explain it. I can't explain how you've helped me. You know,
it's just that power of what's real, isn't it? It gets inside you, it gets established, and it undermines your ability to suffer in any moment, doesn't it? Whatever's going on, there's just this part of you that's okay, and you know, has that stability and that clarity and that firmness. And that's what you really grabbed a hold of and really took to heart and dived in with the practice.
You know, I've had a bit of a calling over the last 4 or 5 months, which is taking me a little bit away from it. But I've never felt part of it. You know, and I've never felt different. You know, apart from the Satsang or Sangha or anything. But I have had a calling. I've had a major calling because I put the flag up. I put the sail up and ask God or whatever it is to do Thy will, to do its will or whatever the will is. I don't know, but it's certainly taken up my time, you know. So it's been amazing, but it's you know, and I'm just very grateful. And it wouldn't have happened if I'd not been doing Satsang. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. I like that.
Good. Yeah, it's good.
Fantastic. Well, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Good to see all of you.
Thanks for sharing that as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Lovely. James. Hi,
Yes.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, and I really am grateful to actually get to attend a live satsang. I watched some of your videos and stuff, but honestly, I just woke up this morning with my normal Monday morning anxiety attack, you know, and I was trying to work through it. Actually. Using a little something I heard Ian, he's in the square down there,
Yes.
say a few weeks back. And I was fortunate to look at my phone and see that David had texted me to tell me that at 5 a.m. this is coming on. And I just wanted to share that, you know, really, I guess since like the age of 8 or 10, I've been a very overly anxiety-ridden person. And I got sober almost 11 years ago, and it took a couple of years for me to realize that meditation was a part of the program. And I read books on meditation like that were that thick, you know.
I remember those ones, yeah.
Yeah. And to watch me try to learn to meditate, excuse me if this reference is somewhat vulgar, but it was like watching somebody, you know, have a painful bowel movement or something. It was just silly. And I was trying it all at once, you know, and at any rate, just to cut short, I was fortunate to be able to attend this morning because the simple things work for me too. and that was so simple and so direct, and the relief was so immediate that I'm just words can't express how grateful I am for being here this morning.
I'm really glad you got a lot out of it. And to me, it has to be simple, because that's all we can remember in the heat of those moments where there's a lot of emotion, a lot of stuff going on like that. It's simple works best, doesn't it? And it's simple, but it's direct, and as you said, the effect is immediate, but it also accumulates in the system. That less and less will you be able to, that fear, that anxiety will be there for a while, but less and less can you suffer from it, you know, and then eventually you won't be suffering at all from it, and then it will just begin to dissipate. It's just like kind of this habit of, this thing builds in the body, doesn't it? And then attention goes there, and then once attention's gone there, what do you do with it then? That's the, you know, so that's the directness of the meditation is what you can actually do in those moments. You know, that I found that extraordinarily helpful. I struggled with a lot of fear most of my life. It was just always there in the background, this underlying dread or something, that something was about to go wrong, or that kind of feeling.
Even when there wasn't anything, I'd find something. But anyway, so your next satsang would be the same time as this?
No, it's on Thursday evening, which 7 p.m. here, which is 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Got it.
I'm not sure exactly where you are, but it's obviously central or somewhere. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All the details are on helenhamilton.org. Times of satsangs, I think, or Facebook if you're on Facebook. So.
Well, I'm just really grateful. I had another question, but I can't really remember what it was, but it doesn't really matter. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Glad you got a lot of it. It's lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Lovely to meet you as well.
Okay. We will leave it there for today. Thanks for everyone for joining in. Namaste. Thank you.